So you can see that I'm all bundled up today, and that's because things are about to get frosty up in here. The Jarl Vitredi Armory deck drops later this month, and we finally got all the final pieces via a Polygon article. So today, let's talk the new Guardian, and we'll do our best to not get a cold.
A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando.
Hey there, my frozen flesh and blood friends. Welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast. And today we are talking the newest ice hero, the upcoming ice hero, Jarl Vitredi. Now, I learned something fun on the last video we did about Jarl, so shout out to Jonathan Gedeon. Hopefully I said that correctly. He said, it's weird that we call him Jarl since that is a title. I feel like calling him the Jarl or Vitredi is probably the way. So I learned something. I actually didn't know that Jarl was a title. Maybe I need to watch more Viking shows on HBO or whatever show that was on. But I did not know that. So it is a little weird, right? It would be like calling Sir Boltyn Sir, because Jarl is effectively like captain. Now, to be fair, if we had a captain out there, I'd almost certainly call them the captain. But that's more of a Barney Stinson type joke, okay? But anyway, I don't think we're not going to be calling him Jarl in the community. I think probably that'll be the way it goes, just because it's way easier than saying Vitredi and then probably saying that wrong. So I think it'll be Jarl. But, you know, if you're out there and you know why, I think we're going to call him Jared. But Jarl seems to be the way it is. But anyway, that's a fun little fact. So let's get into this. Now, a couple days ago, we saw an article on Polygon that was revealing the last pieces of the Armory, or at least what we believe to be the last pieces. Well, you can see my checklist over there. There is still one missing piece, but it's probably a reprint. But notably, we got the loadout for him with all the new stuff. So the big thing to talk about, obviously, is Summit the Unforgiving. That's right. A 6 swing for 6. Once you do the thing, right? So it's very clear here, right? You're going to have this in one hand, probably Stalagmite in the other hand, but what's nice is that, you know, Steel Braid Buckler is like a 25-cent card. So if you're a new player, you can get that. Also, you'll note there's a missing card, AJV003, which is likely a shield. So it seems to me it probably is Steel Blade Buckler or something to that effect, but there are plenty of budget options out there. But Stalagmite is certainly the way, and you can also see that everyone agrees with that. So let's look at the price increase on Stalagmite. The first edition cold foil gone from $12 to, well, $82 right now, and probably to continue to go up. But that's pretty impressive. That's a pretty impressive price increase if you were sitting on that one. Okay, so we also got the Olin Ice Cap. This one actually is pretty good, I think, in terms of, you know, being the headpiece, right? There's obviously, you know, Coronet Peak is out there, which really good. But this one seems pretty good to just defend 1 with another card, so you're defending 4, and then you kind of, you know, screw up what they want to do if they're trying to go wide, right? Potentially with the Frostbite. And they have to keep budgeting around that as long as you have that. So this actually seems pretty good to me. And when we get to my list a little later, I'm actually going to be playing this one. So we have Tectonic Crust as well. So this is a pretty standard Guardian 2 Temper piece. But when it defends together with an Earth card, create a Seismic Surge token. I actually like this, and here's why. If you are going to be playing a hybrid Ice Earth, which I think you do, because there's a lot of value there. Again, we'll talk about that later. This then goes into your discard pile, and that's kind of one of the challenges, I think, in that hybrid of getting to where you need to be in terms of getting value off of your Felling Crowns, your Plow Under, stuff like that. So this actually can help feed that, and makes a lot of sense to me. I'll skip the L for now. We'll go back to it. Then we have Rootbound Trunks, which is another M. So this is only a 1 Blade Break, but same type of concept as what I was just talking about of getting Earth cards in your discard zone so you can get them into your banish zone, right? You understand. Okay, so I think those are actually pretty good, and I think some versions of JV, let's go with that. I think some versions of JV here will play that. Now here's the L that we were promised, the Gauntlets of Boreal Domain. Once per turn action for 2. If an Earth card's pitched this way, tax name Mangle, get +2. and if ice is pitched, they get dominate. Now, we've already talked about how we have 4 copies of dual fuse cards, right? So Crumble to Eternity being not a legendary, so there's 3 of those, and then of course we have Pulse of Icenloft. So you have 4 dual fuse, which is pretty doable. And then remember, Mangle's a 4, so for 2 cards you can do, I mean, even if you don't have a dual fuse, it shouldn't be that hard to set up an ice and earth blue with your Mangle that you were able to pull, remember, because you had Unforgetting, Unforgiving. This deck seems pretty synergistic, and it actually seems like a lot of fun to play, right? Let's be honest about it, okay? So that kind of fills out what, oh, sorry, no, we did have one more, which is Frozen to Death, which is, you know, there was Succumb to Winter or whatever the heck it was, which was kind of the way people were looking at doing it. This one is just an action for 3. You can destroy an equipment with -1 counter, and then create a Frostbite in an exposed zone, right? So that in itself kind of gets you, because you do the one first and then you have the zone, you still get to throw the Frostbite as long as you can blow it up. Okay, so this seems like a pretty reasonable piece. It also blocks 3. It's a blue. It's ice. Seems worth playing. I think everyone will be playing that. So those are the new pieces that we've seen. Now what I want to do, okay, is I want to go ahead and move over to the breakdown. We kind of already covered the big old weapon thing. So let's move over to my breakdown. Okay, so just remember that we have in this set, we have 1 legendary and 23 majestics. Okay, that's what they've said we expect to see. So if we go over to kind of the tracker, we can see if we put 23 M's, right? See, it's just it's stupid spreadsheet, right? But we have Jarl, Summit, the All in Ice Cap, Crust, and the Trunks, all M's. And then we get into the 3 ofs, right, the deck cards. So if you count 3 Mangles, 3 Unforgivings, 3 Icens, 3 Eternities, and 3 Frozens to Death, you actually see that we have 3 M's that are unaccounted for. Now, a lot in many of the Armory, and this is becoming less and less true, to be fair, but in many of the Armory decks, we're seeing the M's be the new cards. Well, obviously, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we've probably seen all of the new cards. But there is an interesting question out there of what that last M slot is going to be, right? So if we actually go back then to the breakdown, it's likely, well, I guess it could be either one of these, but it's probably a red, like if they're bringing something back. And I wonder if it's not going to be Oaken Old, actually. Would that work, actually? It's after Mangle, so alphabetically that would work. Right, because this, I mean, again, that's 3 cards, but that's likely a cycle. That's likely a cycle because it's 3 cards. So I could see definitely this being like Oaken Old or something like that. But let me know what you think. What do we think it's likely to be a reprint, and it's likely to be a Majestic reprint, right? So that's kind of where my head is. It could be, you know, something like one of the Tudor auras. It could be that as well. But that would be down in the blues. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be a red to help you with your damage output. So anyway, that's where my head is at, but I would love to hear what you all are thinking as well. Okay, so that's the missing piece. Now, for the rest of this, I want to talk Ice-Earth hybrid. I want to ask if Earth is practical, and then I want to show you my current build that is not exactly where I want it, but it's where my head is at for this, okay? So there's a very real argument to be made with Jarl that you could just go all ice, right? I mean, he's very heavy into ice with what he wants to do. People are very excited, or some people out there are very excited about it, either in the positive or negative direction about ice coming back. This seems to be more fair ice to me. We'll have to see when it comes, right? Obviously, people aren't going to like seeing their Valiant Dynamos and stuff like that get blowed up. But, you know, that's how life goes sometimes. So with the ice build being very strong, there's no secret with him and all of his cards that he's going to be very heavy on ice. The question then goes to Earth, of how practical is it to run Earth. Now, the reason I think it's worth having that discussion is not just for the Earth Fuse portion of it, right? Because you can get around that with the dual Fuse cards for the most part, right? And then throw in a couple onesie twosies. I don't see that as being a major issue in terms of trying to pull off dual Fuse. You can find enough Earth cards to slot in. Really, the question is, do you want to play, quite frankly, the Earth cards out of Rosetta? mainly Plow Under and Felling of the Crown. I mean, the value on those cards is absolutely insane with what they can do once you're up, okay? Once you have what you need in the zone. So those are very, very, very strong cards with what they do. And I think that you want to try and do it. The question is, can you really get enough earth where you need it to be? Well, and that's why I was pretty high on the earth equipment for that very reason, right? You could go look at something like, why would I not play tectonic plating? Completely fair, but you don't really need tectonic plating, like for the Anathos setup or something like that. You don't really need that. So I think using the earth equipment to kind of feed that, I think makes sense, and I think helps that. Because you just start running out of room, right? To be very blunt, once you start putting in both earth and ice and putting in enough earth to be able to do what you want, and sure, there's cycles and there's in-game, and you can be putting them on the bottom and using them to defend and set up, right? So you can do it, but it's not as easy as it is when you're like in a Florian build or something like that, because you have both concerns to worry about, plus you got to balance it. So that's really my question, and I'm curious out there, do you all think, is earth practical? The value is certainly there, right, for doing earth, and of course having more availability to do the fuse stuff, right? But you could certainly do an all ice build with Jarl, and I think it'd probably be pretty good. It's just, can you get that extra value out of earth? Okay, so to that end, what I would like to do is share where I'm currently at in terms of headspace. Okay, so this is Jared Goes Hard. This is my current deck build, and you can see I'm actually using some of the new stuff. So All in Ice Cap, I think's actually pretty good. Like I think it's pretty good. I know a lot of people are very excited about Coronet Peak, and rightfully so. This seems pretty good. Okay, so I am on the Tectonic chest, and so basically it's his equipment suite, of course, with Stalagmite. Okay, going into the main deck, you can see I am playing some of the earth stuff. Okay, so I'm playing Felling of the Crown. So if we go look at the earth, right, we have Felling, we have Plow Under, we have Flourish, because that seems really good to me. I really like this card. Blue Flourish is like really good. Okay, we also have Sow Tomorrow, which is really neat because Sow Tomorrow actually goes to your Banish Zone, which is, you know, a positive and a negative. It helps you fill up faster, right? But then it's also not there to chuck. And this is also recycling at the same time. But I think this one makes a lot of sense, and I'm on a 2 of that one to balance out Ice and Lost, although otherwise, you know, it's a pretty Andrew Lazy type deck where I'm really only running basically 3 of everything. Now, there's also some good stuff. When we talked last time, you know, Frostfang's just a functionally good card that any ice hero can run. 2 for 5, and if it hits, they discard. And I mean, that's demanding a lot from them, from your opponent, right? In order to stop this one way or the other, they either take the damage and they have to deal with it, and most of the time they're just going to throw you damage. That's an extremely disruptive card that you can come with the 2-card hand, right? Or 3-card hand and Arsenal 1 for a setup, which is likely what you're going to be trying to do. But this is super good, and they always have to be worried about pummel or something like that, and then they're losing a card. It's dirty. Okay, I mean, this card is really strong. Okay, I'm playing Glacial Footsteps. We're on Mangle, of course. I'm on Oaken Old, and then I did decide to go with Snow Under. So this is just it's a vanilla 3/7, but if you fuse, you're threatening Frostbite, and that's not a crush effect, that's a hit effect. So this one seems pretty good for a 3/7 breakpoint with 1 that you can fuse that you can put in Arsenal for something you want to do. We're, of course, on Spinal Crush, because I think you need that. We then see Unforgiving, which, of course, like, it's a 4. One thing you will notice here, there's no Sink Below or whatever D-Reacts. I do have in the inventory Rootbound Carapace for when we think we need it, which also will help the Decompose. I also think a lot of times those are going to be your longer games, so it's going to really help to have that there to set up for your Felling Crowns and your Plow Unders. Okay. We then go into the blues. If we look at the blues, it's a significant breakdown of, you know, it's kind of actually a typical Guardian type thing, right? In fact, there's probably many Bravo decks out there that break down exactly like this because the yellow Starstruck, right? It's probably about the same, but 33 and then 27. Okay, so a 50% split on the blues. You can see it's all just really good stuff here. Okay, we obviously have CLF, we have Mount Ison, we have his cards that we would expect. Now, I am running Macho Grande, so usually you want your blues to not only defend well, but also be your fuse cards. And I understand that Macho's not fusible, but it's also Macho, which is like a really good card. We are also playing Terra Sunder, and we're playing Buckle, right? So those are your dominates, but again, these are cards that you love to pitch early. They also defend well, and they give you your dominate when you can pull off the thing, okay? Now, do keep in mind, with Summit being a 6 swing, and if you want to dominate your, right, we're so used to having like Terra Sunder into Unothos coming for 7, and that's off of 3 cards. Well, now you're coming off 4 cards, right? Because you got to pay for your Terra Sunder or your Buckle, but it's still pretty good. Okay. Now going into the inventory, here's some of the decisions that I made. We already talked about Rootbound. We're on Oasis for obvious reasons because we're also on AB3. I'm on 1 Poison the Well. We are on Nerves of Steel. So this is, I ran up against this card during our 5th anniversary celebration. I was on Ira because why wouldn't I have been? Wanted to try her out and ran up against this card, and God, this card is just disgusting against low attack cards, right? They can just throw armor for free, and as long as they can stop you from having this go away, really good. So I have 2 copies of that for the right matchups, okay, like a Zen Tigers or something like that. If they don't have reacts to go over the top, that could be rough. Okay, and then we have 2 exposed to the elements as well. This one, it's an instant, no defense, but it's pretty good if you can do it at the right time. So that's really that is my hybrid list and kind of where my head is at. I don't know yet if Earth really is Earth in the way that I'm trying to do, or at least in the way I'm envisioning. I don't know how practical that is. And one card you'll notice is missing is Evergreen. I was really trying to figure it because you can get like the looping off Evergreen if it's coming from Arsenal, which is pretty good. That is one card probably to consider fitting in. Maybe I pull out Snow Under for that. So that's where my head is at there in terms of how we do it. But there are so many different ways. I've seen JV here built so many different ways already, and people haven't even gotten him functionally on the table yet, right? So this is pretty cool to see where folks go here. And then we'll have to cross our fingers that the ice wall will not be as bad as it was before, but swinging big with ice. Either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. So that'll do it for today. Thanks so much for joining me. The link is below, but by no means is this a tuned list, right? This is just where my head is at right now. Okay, disclaimer there. So let's have fun with it. Let's toss the ideas around. Stay frosty, my friends, and go Commando.